Baki Rahen's first chapter is finally here. Let's see what awaits us in this new arc. The chapter starts off with this old man walking on the streets. Then after that it cuts off to him talking with the old man, Tokugawa. And Tokugawa is telling him that he feels relieved that this guy hasn't stopped his training whatsoever at the age of 63, most likely speculating that he's getting stronger and stronger with age. I just gotta say the art looks exceptionally amazing. Honestly, I just gotta say. Sabu Kyochiro then states that, stripped of his pride, with nothing else to do in his spare time, he spent every waking moment bathing himself in sweat and shame. Then Tokugawa says that's probably due to his arrest in the past. From there, it explains that there are several prisons throughout the country. The prisons are occupied by guards and riot police, but those guards, even though their job is to obviously guard the prisoners and maintain them, they've all wanted the same thing, which is to be taught by this guy Sabu, who is also called the Manslayer Sabu, which is Hitokiri, which means manslayer. Not to be confused with the ones you see on shows or TVs or exaggerated ones, like a modern man-slaying warrior. When Sabu was arrested on account of manslaughter during a murder case, the people who have met him came to the same conclusion, that this guy must have hacked down at least a dozen people. Tokugawa proceeds to ask, "What do you say, Sabu?" trying to persuade him to go in a fight with somebody against a fully armed opponent. Sabu immediately thinks he's talking about Musashi, which then Tokugawa bursts out laughing. Same with me, because not only is he nowhere near Musashi's level to be fighting him, is that bringing Musashi out again would be a catastrophe. Sabu's then questioning would his opponent be using a sword just like him, but it's actually not an opponent with a sword. His opponent would be using his teeth. Sabu is surprised to hear that and thinks he means saw teeth. Tokugawa bites down molars, incisors, teeth for biting with nothing but his teeth, which we know who that is. We definitely know who that is. The next panel is gorgeous. Jack comes out looking very, very tall with Sabu in the background, which the fans here, everybody's stating that Jack is massive. He is 2 meters 40. Commentator also says, could this man have perfected an almighty martial arts? Sabu is then called peerless among all weapons. His opponent is the sword itself, with him standing and looking very similar to Musashi. This could be a warm-up for Jack. With sword in hand, no man is his equal. For this man, we have no data, only that single truth, of which we can be certain his past is buried in darkness. Sabu steps forward. Jack's height is absolutely crazy. Really just shows how the gap in height is very, very large. Jack is very grateful that this man Sabu accepted his request to fight him, and Sabu then says that you're grateful to be against someone with a sword, questioning the very reason of that it requires a great deal of confidence. Then he states that you and I carry weapons, but with a single desire, to be used to the fullest. As they're sent off to their corners, Fang versus Blade, don't you dare blink. Keep your eyes on these men, because it's time. It's time for the match to begin. Sabu then approaches Jack, ready to use his sword, swiftly grabbing onto his blade. Sabu then misses his swing on Jack, because Jack dodged it by going low, dodging it quite easily, which then Sabu goes for another swing, clutching onto his sword, and going for the next slice, which then this sword attack actually connects, but we hear a strange sound, clang. Everybody's surprised for what they've seen. Even Sabu, that Jack caught the sword in his mouth. He bit onto the sword as it was being swung. Jack then rises up, the sword in his teeth. The titanium teeth has stopped the steel sword. Jack then munches down and breaks the sword into two. Sabu is sweating immensely. From there, he calls the match and gives up because Jack broke the one thing he was confident in, his sword skills and his sword. And Jack did that quite easily actually, low difficulty, until the next chapter, which we will see what happens. The strong is the beautiful.